After losing 3 games in a row in Supremacists, it became abundantly clear to me that apparently I need to freshen up my skills, so I figured we might as well take a look at a high-level game that was played quite recently on everybody's favorite Satan's Clutch remake. Of course, Supremacists here, as it's well known and beyond all reason, used to be Supreme... what was it called? Supreme Peninsula? I forget what it was called. What it was called. Oh my goodness, it's been such a long time. Anyway, here, spawning as the blue commander in the backline Highland Deserts, it's going to be our blue team Armada player that goes by the name of Shocks. Spawning in the mid lane right here, the tech position for the front lines, it's gonna be Justa5. Maybe it's Justice. Kind of like the Dark Knight. Anyway, we'll go with Justa5 just to play it safe. But our red commander also going to be playing as Armada, so that's cool. Usually, I feel like we see the 2 team leaders tend to play Cortex because there's a lot of really powerful things you can do with Cortex. Those shurikens opening up really early. You can also do that mass grunt spam that we've seen a lot of the pros go for, especially on the front lines right here. But it doesn't seem like we're lining up for that specifically today. We have mostly standard starts right here. Osama bin Clappin and Last Fan going to both be going for just a very standard start. We have bots and vehicles going up against Nebuchadnezzar and 1-2. 1-2 and Nebuchadnezzar also going vehicles and bots. All right, cool. So we've got a bot and a vehicle going up against a bot and a vehicle. We do have Cortex and Armada for the blue team. Going to be going up against pure Armada on the red. That should be exciting to watch. We also have some air players in the backline here. Ancient Scion, going to be the tech player, the hardcore tech player. Usually this player, basically, if you're Armada, you go to an Aphis and you pump out Marauder. If you're Cortex, you go to an Aphis and you pump out Shiva. Pretty much what we see all the time over here, but it doesn't mean that it's always the case. Sometimes we can see some interesting other opportunities here. We do have a transport handed out right here to Wind. Gonna move that commander around, but we will find it. Oh, just barely. Oh, maybe not. Oh, just barely we didn't find it. Hetty here tried to find the transport, but just barely didn't scout it with that air scout right there, handed over by the air player on the blue team, who is, of course, going to be Sifos over here. Already some action on the front. It does look like we have a Blitz getting engaged with a couple of these pawns over here, trying to shut down any reclaim that may be happening, but there's actually no reclaim to be had. We have the Resbot. It's just not eating up any of that juicy metal off the front lines right now. A little bit of a misplay right here from Nebuchadnezzar, as we do see a couple of rovers make it into the backline, probably what we're preoccupied with. Oh, and this is a really nice pick right there. I was about to move the camera away, but I think we want to watch this. Boom goes the Resbot. The Lazarus falls and goes to the dirt. Meeting its maker here as these rover are not quite done terrorizing the backline yet. Nicely done by Scion, realizing, hey, I can't just eat up this lab and go for more tech. I need to pump out a couple of units. So we're gonna go for 4 ticks. I think 4 ticks does beat this many rovers. Ticks are strange in that regard, where in virtually every matchup, the vehicle counterpart to the bot is almost always better, but ticks are actually quite a lot better than rascals and rovers. Means that they will clean all this up eventually here. Oh, just barely. Will get the metal extractor right there. The straggler rover does get the mechs. Oh, so much damage with these rovers. My goodness, this is wonderful right here for Not Real. The Cyan commander has done a tremendous amount of damage right here with these beautiful rovers in the backline. All these metal extractors going down. Oh no. And another one. How many metal extractors is that in total? That must be 6 or so metal extractors in total that those have brought down. My goodness. What a beautiful run. Certainly well worth it for the cost of those rovers right here, denying hundreds and hundreds of metal right there for the red team. About as good of a start as you can hope for as far as the early scout harassment goes. We're going to transition into sort of that mid to late game now. I know it seems early, but already we're thinking about those super refined Isthmus builds that do include going for some geothermals and then a sacrifice commander into the T2 lab, and there we go. Indeed, K-Corp going to start up his T2 lab. We already have Justa5 starting up some LLTs over here. Not quite ready to T2, actually. Still getting some of that E conversion up and running so that the geothermal energy is not wasted. Everybody is getting ready for that really rapid T2 transition that we're all well familiar with here, as this has become the staple of technological builds here that we see going on with Justa5. Usually we do see the bots as opposed to the vehicles. I don't mind the vehicles, but usually if you're going to go vehicles, you're going to go Armada. Armada does, of course, have access to the console, which is really powerful. Can build some of those very important for early units. The Gunslinger comes to mind. The Sprinter, very good as well. And, of course, everybody's favorite, the Weber. Frontline still seeing some action. Bin Clappin, the purple commander, going up against the light pink right here. Janus is going to connect with that commander. Every Janus connection is huge, but especially so against the commanders. There we go. Using some of those cheaper units to beat out the Janus missiles. Obviously, sucks to lose your units in the early game like that. Oh, nice D-gun right there from the yellow, or the the yellow. Brightworks knows his colors, confirmed. The pink commander, my brain is frazzled, just got finished driving about 6 hours total. Driving doesn't seem like it does a lot, but anybody that's made a long drive like that, I'm sure you're well aware of how much that takes out of your energy reserves. I was certainly e-stalling IRL. Last fan here using a couple of these Rocketeers, the Aggravators, the Cortex Rocketeers, going to start firing away at one of these lightning turrets, but there is actually a little wall right here in front of that. Very, very nicely done. I feel like this is another thing we've been seeing a lot more recently, and I'm super happy about it. These lightning turrets, really high damage against the commander. We surely want to jump on this. All right, well, it's going to cost us almost all the health on the commander. My goodness, down to 10% HP for last fan right there, but you know what? I think it was probably worth it. Yeah, bringing down that lightning turret does remove a significant amount of firepower from the front lines right here. We do have another one up and running, though. My goodness. This is an interesting investment. I'm really excited to see this. This is really cool to see. We do have a constructor going around right now for Anorami, the orange commander. Oh, okay, interesting. Using the commander to actually go around and capture all these things. Hopefully we get a capture command down on this. Well, it might be difficult to do. Nope, not going to have it. Instead, we're just going to rebuild it. Not the end of the world, of course. That commander has quite a lot of build power, but this is certainly nice. Using this commander not only to claim those metal extractors, but also to deny any commander going for a sea expansion in this little cove over here. Oftentimes, that's what we see first and foremost is a expansion into that cove, and that can be really, really costly if, for instance, you end up building all that expansion only for it to get degunned right there. Yeah. This is exactly what I'm talking about, by the way, the expansion of the cove. This has been a really popular strat as well for the sea lane players here. Instead of expanding on the shoreline right here, it's a very wide open area, very easy to harass. Instead, expanding right here into this lane, where you actually have a little bit of protection from the land masses. Of course, back here, you can build your real power on land, where it's a little bit less vulnerable to being harassed by the naval forces. Altogether, just a slightly more stable way of getting into the water right there. This is a really nice play right here by the Orange Commander, though. Using the commander to actually shut down any hopes of expansion right now for Dragon Fury, the green commander right now, who did go into hovercrafts, by the way. And now the orange commander is lurking in the depths, trying to make his way towards the base right here of the lavender commander. Oh no, I think I know exactly what that commander is going to be going for. We do have a Tsar, an early Tsar out on the front lines. D-gun does connect with it, this radar jammer. You actually don't want to include that radar jammer because it cloaks the enemy commanders moving towards your base. Here comes the commander, though. Anorami D-gunning down the base right here of our lavender commander last fan, and just like that, production has fallen. This commander is full health, too. My goodness, he's going to get away with it scot-free. If it weren't for you meddling kids, that orange commander just committed highway robbery. Luckily, one of these constructors will escape, so at the very least, we can build some more build power and whatnot on the front lines. We do start that up immediately. But suffice it to say, Last Hand is not feeling tremendous right now, as essentially all of their energy economy has gone up in smoke. Second Tsar, or replacement Tsar, has been sent to the front lines right here. Gonna start firing away. This is another one of those builds that has come to popularity recently, the OP early Tsar. OP indeed, easily one kill, or one hits almost all of these units, at least with the direct connect anyway. Ooh, Nebuchadnezzar falls there as well. My goodness, the Tsar is a beast on the front line. What a beautiful, beautiful rush right there from K-Corp. I guess I'm explaining why we instead went for Cortex instead of Armada. Usually that Armada vehicle lab, much more powerful, but in this case, a very focused build, very well refined, and has now cracked open this front line very nicely for the blue team to take advantage of. Certainly everyone and their mother should be marching forward right now with whatever tanks, bots, or whatever else they have, trying to secure as much line as possible. Nice resbot inclusion over here for the Tan Commander. Wind does mean that a lot of this metal is going to go back to the production facilities over here, meaning that, of course, the frigate and destroyer and everything else army does grow. What was this over here? Oh, hovers. A single rocket hovercraft over here is blowing up the geothermal power plant. Very, very nicely done. Very low commitment of resources, but a very high overall achieved effect right there. Very cool to see. Oh, interesting. Agitator right here on the coastline, kind of on the coastline, to blast away some of these ships. That is an interesting decision. We'll have to see how well that can pay off. Typically not a fan of agitators, but maybe they'll be able to do something. I've never seen one in this position here before, so we'll have to wait and see if maybe this is going to be effective or not. The Ballad Eater threatening with that D-gun here, but it's not going to matter as the Tsar puts another one down on the front line. That's as good of a start right there as you could possibly hope for as we start to get ready for the late game. This Tsar clearing the path and opening up thousands and thousands worth of metal on the front lines for the blue team to enjoy. A couple of rovers marching forward, not really going to be the end of the world. I guess a little bit of friendly fire right there, but again, not much. I tried. Cries out the brown commander. Maybe the saddest thing I've ever seen. I tried. Right next to the Tsar that brought him down. Wonderful. Poetic, one might even say. Man, these Tsars are a beast. We do need something to clear out these ticks, though. They're actually becoming an issue. Luckily, the Tsar has so much health that it doesn't really care about the friendly fire from Quakers or medium tanks or any of that stuff. But it certainly isn't comfortable having your own units firing on yourself. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself type game. Ooh, Spybot did go down right there. That could have been really, really bad. That could have been the connection that the blue team was, or pardon me, that the red team was waiting for right there. Unfortunately, it does fall, which means that Tsar will manage to escape. But the commander does go down, as now a couple of those sharpshooter. Ooh, the Tsar goes down as well. Very nicely done. Yeah, the sharpshooters do actually manage to retort here, and I think they might be enough to actually blast apart everything on this front line. Radar vehicles go down. Of course, line of sight much more powerful than radar or radar jamming, so indeed these sharpshooters have perfect accuracy while those ticks are sprinting forward here. If we can manage to blast apart all this early T2, this is going to look really, really nice. Yep, looks like that facility over there was degunned down by Anarami. Lovely stuff right there. Making sure that the green commander can't really contribute on that lane. And I think I'd like to see a little more hovercraft harassment. Yeah, maybe some Seekers or Goons, whatever you have, and send them around maybe to these metal extractors over on the island on the southern side. Maybe try and send them across to the base over here in orange. We haven't quite seen the salamanders that are going to be coming up here imminently, but as soon as we do, it could be a clue that it would be worth trying to harass, because you know that they've taken down that naval shipyard and gone into an amphibious gantry instead. It means they don't really have a good way of dealing with hovercraft spam. Little frigate engagement over here. Frigate v frigate. In battles like this, it basically always comes down to more stuff beats less stuff, and indeed more stuff on the side of the tan commander here does mean that one by one those frigates start to trade out. And this was a fabulous fight right here for Wind. Yeah, lovely, lovely stuff. Gonna mean thousands of metal, well, at least a couple hundred metal at the very least. Maybe, probably about 1,000 or so. Yeah, 1,400 or so metal. Ripe for the reclamation. Hetty's still contesting it. But we desperately need more units. There's a big ball of salamanders I'm trying to keep my eye on. I'm wondering where we're gonna send them. We could, of course, send them up the beachhead over here. Only LLTs over on that side, so that's definitely harassable. Sharpshooters at this point have gone down, but they've already done fabulous work clearing out this front line, making it very, very viable for the red team to continue harassing here. Kind of a weird battle because all of the T2 has been cleared away. Yeah. all of the T2 has been cleared away at this point. We're back to T1. Strange to go up the tech ladder and then back down, and almost always we see the tech level maintained throughout any sort of engagement here. But I guess with those units rushed out, it wasn't a sustainable economic production, right? So we're just making sure to constantly be keeping those units alive, but now that they're gone, it's not worth replacing them. Gonna be making both teams investments into the economy here. What that looks like for the red commander is apparently going to be about 4 million wind turbines. Those butlers are very good at building them. About 10 seconds to build a wind turbine when they're unstalled right here. We need more E-converters, though. It's surprising and impressive how many E-converters you actually do need when you start to invest in those wind turbines. They can rapidly rack up energy production like you wouldn't believe, and certainly the case in this game. And Arami's still being a pest with those destroyers that didn't end up falling right here. We do make a rapid transition to T2, by the way. That's going to be useful because it does, of course, mean that we have some of these T2 metal extractors coming up slowly but surely, and that metal income advantage will start to mount quite rapidly. Northern Sea still contested, though. We have a little bit of blue tick spam over here, just pumping out a whole bunch of those light T1 bots just to make sure that we have something on the front lines in order to help our teammates here. At this point, though, going to start investing into an APHIS. Is there enough metal to finish this? Well, let's see. We've got about 3,000 metal put into it right now, and that plus the amount in the fusion reactor equals about enough to afford the APHIS. So yeah, we do have about the resources to finish this APHIS. It's just a matter of actually depositing it all into that and getting the fusion reactor put in there as well. Oftentimes easier said than done. Salamander attack queued up firstly here by the orange commander, but also on the other side of the map, these salamander are getting ready as well. Yeah, they don't they don't quite have an opportunity path through these barricades here, but I think they might be able to squeeze on by. Maybe. Yeah, they're gonna be able to squeeze on by the edge of that blockade right there. Very nicely done. Also, of course, means that they're going to, well, okay, I was gonna say it means that they could ignore that static defense, but I suppose they might as well blast it down if they could. And they can. This is looking quite nice, though. Yeah, they're into the back line. We do have a heavy bomber to try and shut some of these down, but not going to shut them down very quickly. And just like that, tons and tons of economy here for the Tan Commander about to fall. Geothermal was never retaken, by the way, from that early missile hovercraft that blew it apart. Tan Commander goes down in the water over here as well. That's a nice little pick off. If we can get that metal under control, that's going to be a really, really fabulous point for the Tan Commander. But is it going to offset all this damage in the backline? I mean, the metal extractors falling is so costly. Over time, these metal extractors being down, those are 9.2 apiece metal extractors. You can imagine over the course of a couple of minutes, that really does amount to quite a lot of metal completely wasted. Really, really nicely done. Yeah, these salamanders have gotten tremendous effect here. Another one up on the top here, denying this geothermal once again. And just like that, the production has dwindled right here for wind. You can see immediately hits an energy and a metal stall. Only using the reclaim at this point. That's the only real metal income that we've got, save for the single mechs pumping out metal over on that side. Beautiful, beautiful little attack right there from K-Corp. Not game-winning, I would say, but certainly helps out his ally in the water here. Hetty going to be much more happy fighting this army, knowing that the reinforcements, of course, will never come. And that's always going to be a comfort, to say the very least. T2 is up and running. Again, we're going for those T2 metal extractors here. Frontline has stabilized into artillery warfare, so at this point we're just firing away with whatever we have. Missile boats shelling away at this front line over here. That's quite nice. Always a good idea to get some of those missile boats engaged in the action over here. Ticks triggering the Scorpion turrets, which is also nice. Means that they'll remain exposed so that these missiles falling out of the sky like rain on a cool summer's day will have maximum effect against these Scorpions. The Scorpions, as well as Bulwarks and Pulsars, all have increased armor when they're in their little tucked away form. That's a little tidbit for you, a little bit of information about Beyond All Reason. You can actually disable Bulwarks and Tachyons to put their schnozzle away, and then it will actually, yeah, it increases their armor quite a bit, makes them very durable. Extremely expensive wall, but it's always an option. I believe Persecutors and Rattlesnakes benefit from the same thing. All the pop-up stuff. We went for a submarine here, no doubt to harass down any metal extractors that we can find, but unfortunately, down it goes. We are resurrecting here. I wouldn't mind seeing a reclaim command. Oh no, we are reclaiming. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, nearly 4,000 metal right there for the blue commander to reclaim. If we can get all that metal put into boats on the front line, of course, it's going to be a tremendous win right here for the blue commander. Easier said than done, though. And much easier said than done doing that rather than, well, without hitting an E-stall of any kind. Metal extractor comes up and running. This missile boat over here has just been firing away for hours and hours. Effectively doing nothing, but enjoying its time here in Beyond All Reason. I always ask this at the end of the video, but by the way, in case you're enjoying these videos, I would definitely appreciate if you drop a like down below. I know a lot of YouTubers talk about that. They ask for that, but how many of them explain just how important that is? It actually, it's an exponential effect rather than just some sort of linear effect. One like does not coordinate to one view. It's like one like is like one view, and then 2 is 4, and then 3 is 8. You get the idea. We're all Beyond All Reason players. We understand exponential growth. We've all tried to economy into the late game, only to realize how incredibly difficult it is to spend an ever exponentially scaling amount of resources. This is a great catch right here. Orange Commander jumping on top of this production facility. In fact, jumping on top of 2 production facilities right here. Gonna start blasting them away with, well, destroyers, buccaneers, anything that they can. I believe there was even a submarine there at one point here. Build power, of course, keeping a lot of this alive, but eventually this will start to fall. Those missile boats firing away, and just like that, the Orange Commander has, I would say, securely won their lane. Next step, of course, once you've done this, is to send these missile boats over and blow up this geothermal. Then you start harassing any of these lanes over here. You start harassing these bases with the missile boats, and then, of course, you can go for a capital ship. Wonderful stuff. We've already started up the Black Hydra. Back in the day, I would say this is a waste of metal. Pretty much a pure waste of resources, but nowadays, Black Hydras and Epochs, the Armada capital ship, super, super powerful. More than powerful enough to break through shields and penetrate into the hearts of the economies of other commanders. Makes them really, really valuable, and you actually can get tremendous value out of them on this map specifically, because of course there's so many bases here. You can see 1, 2, sometimes 3 bases that you can blast away with just a single capital ship firing all of its guns, all 4 of its pea-shooter guns. Eddie needs to engage here. We're wasting time unnecessarily. This is always the tricky thing about Navy, though. If you commit a little too early or with just the wrong amount of forces, It can feel like you're taking a fabulous fight, and then 1 or 2 engagements later, you've suddenly lost everything. All the metal is in your opponent's hands, and none of it is in your sea, in your color on the sea. I think it's the right time to move forward. So many destroyers right there, my goodness. We are up to a grand total of nearly 8,000 metal worth of destroyers. Tremendous. There they go, firing away. I think ideally you would have them firing at the same target, but doesn't really matter. As long as they're firing at something, this is going to be all right. Radar tower goes down. Little inconvenient for the Tan Commander. We need to be so careful with these destroyers. Can't really afford to lose them in these long-range battles right there, but this is exactly what you want. Picking off the frigates one by one. Picking off other destroyers one by one here as well. Really, really lovely stuff. Ooh, big old shuriken pull right now. No anti-air in this composition whatsoever. Shuriken jumping on top of this big ball of destroyers. Lovely stuff from the Yellow Commander, utilizing some of those air power in order to try and balance this. Still though, oh my goodness, the amount of frigates that Hetty has amassed at this point is egregious. Just like that. All those shuriken do fall as a big old air pull is necessitated by the Seafoam Green Commander. Front lines as well have been well pushed in. Medium tanks jumping on top of Starlights here. It looks like there was a little bit of a spybot connection. The Starlight's sort of a self-resolving issue though. If the medium tanks get on top of them, then of course their death explosion will clear out a whole bunch of those medium tanks. But here we are. Frigates now on top of the main production facility right here for wind, meaning no more of those boats will ever grace the light of day. Wonderfully done. We also have some mine layers over here. They're laying down medium mines. Frankly, I think you should probably just go for heavy mines because, you know, it's pretty much always going to be Marauder or Shiva pushing that lane, both of which fairly prone to heavy mines. Sharpshooters trying to fire away at whatever they can, but these pawns running forward are actually causing quite a bit of an issue, providing the intelligence needed in order to fire away at a lot of these. What I wouldn't mind seeing is maybe putting hold fire on these and walking them forward under cover of a radar bot or two, just so that we can start firing away without actually revealing their location. Pop the Persecutor, pop the Scorpion turrets, and then of course you can march them forward at your leisure. Not that it's going to matter though. Despots have been firing away for a good long while, but the big Papa ship, the capital ship, the Black Hydra, heading forward right now for the Orange Commander, Anorami, and eventually going to arrive on the other side of the map. The blue team holding out hope. We do have a... Do we have a nuke? I swore I saw one. Suppose not. Oh, I thought I saw a nuke. I must have been looking at the anti-nuke symbol here. Neither team equipped for nuclear warfare. However, the both teams equipped to deny anti-nuclear warfare. Better than I can claim to do. Destroyers here now looking for whatever value they can. I mean, they're going to fight these T2 units, and that's actually not a terrible place for them. In a strange twist of fates, they do actually fare pretty well against T2. You can see that now, my goodness. They fare better than well against T2. I guess more stuff beats less stuff is still the age-old adage, regardless of whether it's T1 or T2. Yeah, the Hound's actually getting destroyed right there. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Capital ship now firing away over here. And you can see, even with 2 shield generators, it really isn't enough to deflect those projectiles right here from the capital ship. They do so much individual damage that they're actually really good at penetrating those shields. There we go, yeah, connecting with the fusion reactors already. Oh no. Will a 3rd shield be enough to deflect a single capital ship's worth of fire? Maybe. Still looking pretty low. Luckily, the capital ship is taking a small break here, allowing those shields to recharge. I'm not sure. I think you might need 4. Yeah, you may need 4 shields right here. It does look like they're starting to continue to punch through a little bit deeper each and every time. Wow. What a crazy upgrade to those capital ships. It used to be that a single, if not 1, maybe 2 shield generators could deal with the capital ship. Now it seems like even 3 can't really effectively deal with the capital ship. They'll stall it out for a good long while, but not for very long in total. Catapult is built here. It's pretty nice, actually. Catapult's sort of the Cortex equivalent to the Vanguard here, and we've seen how effective those Vanguard can be at dealing with those capital ship. Bizarrely effective, actually. I imagine, yeah, Catapult's fairly effective, too. Definitely. Capital ship's such a massive target that obviously, despite those rockets going every which way, they still find their mark about 90% of the time. Well, 90%, maybe a bit of an overestimate, but you can still see, I mean, 2 volleys bringing down by 19%. I guess that would be, what, 8% per volley? No, 9.5% per volley. Never do math in a video. You will fail, as the adage goes. Yeah, catapult's gonna be great here. I like these quite a bit. They can also, of course, blast away at this T1 quite nicely. And indeed they will. Oh, this is gonna be such a juicy connection. I can see it already. Oh, it's beautiful. Nothing better than the catapults connecting with a bunch of squishy T1. Tons and tons of those blitzes do fall right there. Lovely stuff. Karganeth out now. Gotta be an excellent answer to these blitzes as well. Catapult continuing to help out however they can. Karganeth really the king of the show here, though. Very nice indeed. The purple commander's base in immense trouble. Build power starting to crumble here. We do have the capital ship taking down hundreds of wind turbines over here on the backhand side. Chain reacting ever so slightly, just barely not spaced out enough to avoid the chain reaction. Bunch of missile trucks over here as well. I see what we're doing. Parking the missile trucks over here and hoping to fire over the hillside from the cover of the mountain, using those long-range missile launchers to blast apart the fusion reactors. Really, really nicely done. One of them pops, sending ripples of chaos through the build power, and just like that, the pink and red players combined have taken down the purple production. And this is starting to look quite dire right now for the blue team. We have a plan. As the great Vanderland gang would say, there is a plan. And the plan is to send a whole bunch of cataphracts over the high seas over here on the right-hand side, immediately responded to by Anorami. However, I don't believe Anorami was actually producing too many boats. Yeah, you can see we kind of let production slip here. Usually best bet is to just take a naval constructor and 2 engineers and have it go build a bunch of fusion reactors, take another naval constructor and 2 engineers, and have it go build E-converters. And you'll end up with a fairly balanced economy that can actually keep up with land-based economies. At least that's my preferred method. Obviously, you can go for build turrets and whatnot as well, but that starts to drain your economy quite quickly, too. Once you have the capital ships up, though, I guess there's not really a whole lot that you're spending your metal on, so maybe it's worth draining the economy as quickly as you can. Bombers incoming. Fighters were pulled to deal with the big airwave. Oh, it's a little bit of a bait and switch right there. Beautiful play from the yellow commander. Sends the fighters to the top left over here, and then sends the bombers in over on the right. What a cute little play to trick the Seafoam green commander to moving all the fighters up there. Just barely not enough bombs to take out the Aphis right here, but we did kill the build power, meaning that T3 will be the last of its kind. What a cheeky little move. Core Aphis OP, cries out Amort. I guess I have to agree, withstanding the bombing of those heavy bombers is certainly no easy task. Cataphract's kind of having a hard time against the naval units over here. Can't help but wonder if maybe some other sort of T3 contribution on the front would be well worth it. Maybe a Juggernaut placed on the front strategically could work out quite nicely. Capital ships suffering immensely for those catapults firing away over here. Now we have a big air pull over on this side. Yeah, he says, you want to mess with me, I'll mess with you. Seafoam Green Commander pulls the fighters and sends them on across the map. Nicely done. Catches the yellow fighters out of position right here. Means the bombers are going to deploy. Big old strafing run right there. Doesn't actually take out too many key infrastructure points. Yeah, the fusion reactor stays up and running. Ugh. Little bit of a bummer. Not enough scouting right there for the Seafoam Green Commander means that we're not actually going to be able to target down, for instance, the Aphises, the fusion reactors, all the really critical infrastructure. I would definitely say, at the very least now, any follow-up bombing runs are going to be much more important here. Big wave of Webbers going out as well here. One of my favorite strategies when you've already got a fairly decent lead and you want to make sure to capitalize on it. Let's go ahead and send some of those reclaim spiders out. They'll easily mop up that entire front line, cleaning up any metal that might be deposited there. In the game of naval rock, paper, scissors, it's kind of capital ship and despot beat cataphract. Cataphract beats missile boat. Missile boat beats, I guess, the economy to produce cataphract. It's not a very balanced game of rock, paper, scissors. That's because cataphract are not really supposed to be, they're kind of a bad solution to a problem. A solution for when you have no other options. Juno missile lands in the production center of the blue base as well. Means, of course, that we're no longer going to be able to spam these ticks out here. We need to switch these over to pawns, otherwise turn these labs off. Right now it's just wasting metal. Sometimes very difficult to notice that on your peripheral, though. I will say, Hetty does have a capital ship out here, but it feels like it's getting so much less value right now than the orange capital ship did, killing basically 2 different bases. If Hetty were to move this capital ship over here, he could kill so much economy with it. But unfortunately, just keeping it kind of tucked away over here. Scout Bliss, cries out Hetty. Ah, I see. Maybe hoping to scout some of these bases over here. In fact, let's take a look at what we've seen. Yeah, because of those fighter pulls in the bombing run, we actually know exactly where all the economy is. So it's a little bit of a misplay by Hetty to not use this to immediately start blasting apart any of this we can. We do have the sharpshooters up here, it's well worth noting, trying to, are ready and primed to blast away anything that gets too close. But the capital ship certainly would be able to withstand the barrage and potentially get within range to start blasting into pieces. We're looking for game enders here. Critical T3 mass could be one solution. Looks like we're going to invest heavily in air right now. Just a 5 going into multiple T1 aircraft plant. Just going to go for a big hail of Stormbringers. It can work. It can certainly work, and especially with the advantage that we bought ourselves over here on the northern sea, or the southern sea, pardon me. We do have quite a lot of hovercraft over here, by the way. A little bit concerning, perhaps. Bunch of fireboats, going to go deal with it. A fitting solution. Oh, look at a little eco island over here. We've got some fusion reactors coming up. We've got some pinpointers. We've got some beamer turrets. This is great. Little minor investment over on the side here. Very nice in case, for instance, some nuke or something connects with a bunch of your tidal generators. So you at the very least have a different alternative pathway to go ahead and try and keep your economy alive. Despite units consistently running into the backlines right here for the blue team, somehow still maintaining presence in this match. Here come the Stormbringers. How many are we up to at this point? 38 Stormbringers in total. Coming up to speed here. I'm not entirely sure what our goal is, our end count of Stormbringer that we're looking for, but about 1 Sky's blotted out worth should probably be enough. Shiva now dealing with some of these pit bulls over here. Pretty much the ideal unit for dealing with static defense. They've got that rocket, of course, which is very, very powerful. They've got their heavy impulse cannon, makes them very good against big AoE clumps of units right here. If they're paying very close attention, the Green Commander might have noticed that there was mines detonating over here when those bullets missed, but I don't think it's the case. Oh, did we notice? I'm not so sure. I think with the, I think the problem here is that these need to be manually fired. Sure, I mean, Shuriken doing a great job over here. I think these need to be manually fired to clear out this minefield, otherwise they're just going to walk themselves to death. Yeah. I don't think that push is going to work all too well. Mass Cataphracts, accompanied by Mass Buccaneer. We actually need Mass Despot here, or just Mass Capital Ship. Actually, Mass Capital Ship could work out quite nicely. Obviously expensive, but you pay for a very powerful battleship. One that can actually get within range of the units and can fire more than once every 2 minutes, i.e. Cataphract or Buccaneer here. What a slaughter. Those orange boats just dismantling the green and blue Navy right now. Brutal, brutal connections right there. We do have, I'm going to clear the map really quick, we do have a bunch of bombers building the backline right here, by the way. Big scout wave headed across the map right now. If we take a look at all of these, you can see the scouting pattern is quite nice right here, actually. Going to reveal a whole bunch of the map. Why don't I select all these so we can actually see what the blue team sees. As they move all these forward, we can see the welders and the sharpshooters all in formation over there. We can see the main base of the Red Commander, and we also got a very cursory glimpse of those air labs. We actually didn't see the air labs, we just saw the fighters flying around over there. Ooh, if we were paying attention, hopefully we were paying attention and spotted this. I think if we did, then it could have been potentially game-saving. Hey, there we go. Capital ships now firing away over here at these bases. So late in the game. They should have been terrorizing these bases way earlier. Better late than never, though. Slowly but surely, we will pop these shields. Very slowly, but very surely. There goes one of the fusion reactors. Of course, necessary for powering the shields. You can see these take up quite a lot of energy per second trying to deflect the projectiles, so very, very possible that that's one of the most effective ways of shutting down shields. Yeah. Ignoring the prude geothermal over here. Very nicely done. Oh, T1 fighters are so bad. The fighters don't have enough firepower to bring down the bombers, and the Seafoam Green Commander Sifos manages a crazy bombing run against the Red Commander, and I believe, yeah, that also took down all of the bombers. Oh no. All of that work that the Red Commander was working on for ages and ages have been completely nullified right there by a single bombing run. That was killer from the Seafoam Green Commander. Definitely bringing the blue team back closer towards even in this match. Also a wonderful explosion as those long-range capital ships fire away at the base over here. There's not even a trace of it, save for the craters imprinted on the ground. It's just like that. Another APHIS pops, sending another base into thermonuclear demise. Now the capital ships are free to fire away. It takes so many shields to deflect these nowadays that it's just unfeasible. Your only real solution is going to be to try and blow them up as best you can. You can always go for mass artificial commander, try and capture them as well. Not saying that that's a viable strategy, but I am saying that if you manage to pull it off, you should definitely send me the replay over at the Brightworks Discord channel, link down below in the description section, in case you wanted to join up. That's where I pull a lot of these replays from. It's why we tend to see some of the more familiar faces around here. It's because they're part of the Brightworks Discord family, and I'm always happy to have more and more members joining every single day. We just recently crossed 1,000 members, well, recently, a couple of weeks ago now. Maybe a month ago now? No, it must have been just a couple of weeks ago. We crossed 1,000 members, which is tremendous. Special little thank you to each and every one of you out there who joined the Discord. We're going to be starting some big things soon, so it's definitely a great time to join up. Things like, for instance, community game nights was one of the things that one of my top moderators, Isbad, wanted to start up, was an opportunity to play some other games just with the Discord community as opposed to Beyond All Reason. But of course, there's always the Tuesday and Saturday streams. If you're fiending to itch that craving for some good old-fashioned Beyond All Reason, then definitely the time to tune in. Those generators going down is definitely expensive. Oh, nice. Nice play right there. Nuclear bombers managed to take down that super capital ship, and they get away with it too. That's a really good pick. If we can manage to keep that up, if we manage to keep sniping boats like that, one of the more efficient ways of bringing those down. Yep, I agree with the call for spam right here by Ancient Scion. These Thors are too expensive to not put a whole bunch of spam up in front. My goodness, the catapults, pardon me, firing away all in synchrony here to try and blast away these Thors. Oh, EMP missiles were sent up. Love that we remember to use the EMP missiles, but it's a nice dodge from the blue commander. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful catapults. The carnage is real. Lovely stuff. Catapults in mass can do unbelievable damage. Nuclear bombers in mass, pretty good too, though, I have to say. Nice collaboration right there between the airwaves, making sure to protect those Nuki Bees. This is cool, cries out a spectator, and I guess I have to agree. This is pretty awesome to see. We'll go ahead and enter cinematic mode. The numbers don't matter, just sit back and enjoy the big explosions. The demons firing away, the nuclear bombers deploying their payloads wherever they can. This is beyond all reason. Wow. What a hold. What a hold. Anti-air boats, and plenty of them. Now to make sure that none of these Nuki Bees come over here and ruin the fun. Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about nuclear bombers is they're quite resilient. They've got quite a lot of HP, and there we go. Enough HP at the very least to actually detonate on top of a lot of those anti-nuke, or anti-air boats, rather. That's so funny. Capital ships over here on the left-hand side. Still shelling away, still doing whatever they can. It's about time we transition to a gantry, transition to a full-fledged economy. It does rub me the wrong way not investing more heavily into economy out here in the seas. You have all this space that you can just fill with fusion reactors and energy converters and all that good stuff, so you always might as well. Nuclear bomber's been handed off to a frontliner here at this point. What a cool, cool investment. Do we have a game ender? Always what I'm looking for at this point. We have mass Thors being pumped out right now. A whopping total economy for the pink commander of about 450 metal and 31,000 energy. Very impressive indeed. The other thing that could obviously work out quite nicely here is some Marauder. Yeah. Whole bunch of Marauder from either team can do huge amounts of damage. There is this big minefield over here, so that's certainly something to be wary of. But you can imagine a bunch of Marauder moving across this minefield. These are mostly medium mines, so a couple of Marauder. Oh, those are heavy mines, actually. Ah, all right. The the red team well prepared for the inevitability that Marauder are going to appear on the other side of the map. It's good preparation. Vanguard here to deal with the capital ships. I've said it before, but the Vanguard are a really elegant solution to those capital ships, especially if you include a couple of radar jammers. It can be very, very nice. Ah, bomber sent in. They don't actually have a great target right now, but the airwave is shot down. Oh, and the bombers look to move towards the back line. We do have flak turrets up and running. We're gonna start firing away. Oh, we need to pull the bombers off. We're gonna send them in anyways. They're still a little clumped up. Oh no, bombers falling out of the sky. I think if they had dropped their payload right here. Oh, well, maybe the death explosions. Oh, just barely. Those death explosions don't manage to pop those energy converters. Always tragic when you accidentally pop those energy converters. But that was really close. If we had taken out the build power right here, I think this would have shut off the Purple Commander's main production center for basically the entire rest of the match. It would have been really, really hard to rebuild from that. Not the case, though. Other solutions, of course, include Ragnaroks. Although gonna be tricky to find a location you could build a Ragnarok that isn't contested by capital ships here. Also contested are these Thors over here. Receiving quite a beating from the capital ships, actually. Every one of those projectiles about 1% off of the Thor's HP bar. But it's worth remembering, they of course fire 4 projectiles a volley, and there's quite a few of them. We're now up to 4 capital ships, so this is definitely not ideal. Losing your Thors to capital ships. Feels like you only really get to see that. Supremismus. One of the beauties of this game. Especially the late game. Should we take a cinema cruise around the map right now? Why not? Here we go. We'll enter first-person view cam. This can be quite a fun camera to watch things from. We zip our way on over to this side. We can see the capital ships firing away their long-range projectile cannons. Beautiful stuff right there. Thor's in a whole lot of trouble. Yeah, don't like these idle Thors on the front. We either need to pull them back or forget about them. Reclaim them. T2 production facility back here. Pumping out those T2 aircraft as well as a whole bunch of T1 spam. We've got loads and loads of Resbots. That's actually great. Resbots, of course, going to be quite powerful for cleaning up any sort of wreckages like these. Picking the Thors back up, putting them back online on the front lines here. Yeah, it's going pretty quickly. About 10% every 3 seconds or so. 2 seconds or so. Not bad. And the catapults. My goodness, the catapults. Whoops. Sorry about that. Very, very fast, these controls. Have to be so careful. Oh, I want to see the catapults fire. Come on, show it to me. Show me the catapults. It's like, show me the Carfax, but way more rockets. I imagine, anyways. Guess we're gonna pull back. Oh, nuclear bomb is avoided right there. Well, mostly avoided. Resbots avoided. That's really the key thing there, as well as the catapults and all that. We do have the Resbots here anyways, though, so it's not like we couldn't just resurrect a whole bunch of these, put them back on the front lines. The blitzes here, the blitz tanks, costing, mind you, 109 metal apiece, a very expensive spam to keep sending forward right here. Is it? Okay, we finally stopped it. Feels like it took quite a lot of time into this game to stop sending those blitzes forward. I can't fathom how much metal must have been wasted sending those around. Nice anti-nuke coverage right there. We're building some mobile anti-nukes as well, always important. Resurrected Thor is going to be so critical here, though. I'm going to go ahead and speed things up. Nuclear bombers. I mean, flying over the anti-air ships. Not going to be ideal in virtually any circumstance, but probably one of the only bombers that can really manage to do that. I suppose about 100... Yeah, about 100 regular bombers could probably do about the same trick, though. Capital ships continually brought back from beyond the grave. One move that I'd love to see is maybe sending out a couple of construction drones, the construction aircraft, using those as sort of a de facto metal stealery, trying to thieve away some of the metal right here from these boats. Can you go mass ducks or something? Asked the Red Commander. I think that's a fairly good option. Ducks are quite powerful. We do have a capital ship headed in this direction, so that's cool as well. Starting to shell away at whatever it can. Geothermal first and foremost here. We have a spybot detonation over here. Doesn't really bring too much down, though. The Despot is more than capable of blasting away T3 units. Very heavy Gauss projectile. Tanks out of position. Oh, no. Tanks way out of position. Nuclear bombers overcommit here as well. Nicely done. Yellow Commander snipes those nuclear bombers. It's a huge threat removed from the board. My goodness, the amount of Thors is daunting, though. So many Thors for the Pink Commander, my goodness. We are up to a grand total of 14 Thors right here for our Hot Pink Commander, Ancient Scion. And counting, I do believe. Yeah, we're still producing more and more of them in the backline here at about 500, maybe 600 metal per second. I suppose it's a pretty good unit, but I think at this point, you probably want to start investing in Titans, no? I think that much metal in Titans would probably be way better against the Thors than anything else. Another good option, of course, would be a couple of those behemoths. Yeah, behemoths very, very good. We have a... Oh, no, I thought we had a capture command going on over there. Behemoths really, really good against T3. Basically the purpose-built T3 killer. Meant to shut down Thors and Titans and Juggernauts and you name it. They have a synthetic D-gun. Does an absurd amount of damage. Not as much as a real D-gun, but pretty good. Ah, there we go. Indeed, speak of the devil and he shall arrive. Indeed, we do have behemoths coming up right here for K-Corp. They're 20,000 metal apiece, which is interesting because they're actually cheaper than a Juggernaut, but I think I would always rather have a behemoth. Like, a behemoth is so sturdy and so easy to push front lines with. So valuable when you're going up against T3. I feel like it's always more valuable to go for a behemoth. I don't know, maybe that's just my personal preference. The way I've always loved to play RTS games is that slow, creeping, static, defensive methodology, and that's definitely what the behemoth affords you, is the ability to just slowly push a line and inevitably creep into your enemy's base. The airplanes have been rebuilt at this point. Nighthawks up in the air, patrolling as much as possible, trying to shoot down any enemy air. Very good. Huge clash of fighters right here. So hard to read these battles. Virtually impossible to tell who on earth is winning these battles. It looks like in this exact situation, it was going to be the Seafoam Green Commander. We do have both greens now coming together to try and clean up a bunch of the yellow fighters. And after all is said and done, I think it's going to be the yellow fighters that are left standing over here. They will mean that, or that will mean rather, that they will have the honor of blasting down the bombers right here for the Seafoam Green Commander. It should also be the key phrase needed, the trigger phrase that the yellow commander needs in order to start investing, or start sending rather, the bombers across. And not going to be the case this time. Maybe next time. Not real. Prime position. Oh, well, missed the D-gun there. Ooh, blasted apart in moments. Does manage to D-gun down one of those Thors. Probably could have been a little bit better, though. Typically the right way to do this, by the way, with these bombers is to attack and then left-click and drag. That'll select them one by one, so the bombers will prioritize them a little bit better. Nuclear bombers, though, not really giving them a chance. There they go. Blowing them to smithereens damn near instantaneously. Again with the capital ships. I mean, if you park them right over here on the edge, they're going to be able to kill everything. How on earth are we going to win this game? I want to say these yellow bombers have the power. If we can get these yellow bombers into any of these economies, it'll be enough damage to break the line. But it's that, or we need to send about 500,000 more troops to the fronts here. There's really only one teammate spamming anything right now, and it's the Green Commander. Spamming out grunts for a good long while. We're going to transition into a couple of res bots here eventually. Just to make sure there's enough to resurrect all these Thors. That is the benefit, of course, of going for those nuclear bombers and blowing up the Thors rather than, you know, using them as, using the D-gun to get rid of them. You actually get to keep the corpses, and beyond all reason, corpses are quite valuable. They're a highly prized asset. Yeah. I mean, capital ship over here, not really achieving all too much, frankly speaking. Multiple layers of shields, keeping everything nice and safe. But at the very least, it's wiped away a couple of those landmines. Forgot the word landmines there. The longer games, the longer they go, the more stressful they become. If you played a long game of Beyond All Reason, I know that you know exactly what I'm talking about. The APM soars through the roof. Wonder how many calories you burn playing a game of Beyond All Reason. Now there's a study I'd be interested in. What is the caloric deficit for a Beyond All Reason player playing a late game Supremismus? It's got to be pretty high. Again, though, not capital ships, pardon me, Ragnaroks or Calamities would be a good solution here. You can imagine, for instance, building one up on this island over here wouldn't be a bad idea. Big fighter pull. What you kind of want to happen here is the bombers to sort of soak some of the shots, some of the fire from the fighters. The fighters will prioritize the bombers. And you can kind of take advantage of that to some degree and use them to bait the shots so your fighters win the fight. But, of course, if you lean on that too heavily, you lose all the bombers, and then even if you win the air battle, you still don't really have enough fighters. It's a tricky back and forth. Ooh. Clear bombers out here on the ocean. Oh, that's nice. We took out all the res subs. At the very least, taking out those res subs does mean that we're no longer going to be dealing with resurrected capital ships, the undead capital ships. Still, though, losing those bombers is quite expensive. Essentially for free because they were flying over flak here, but we did trade, rather, a couple of those fighters out, so better than nothing, but not by a whole lot. Behemoth are available. Getting some great connection against these Thor, too. Catapults being a nuisance. And the Behemoths doing more than enough work. Tearing apart these Thor wreckets, or these Thor chassis, rather, into wreckages. Yeah. About 8 or 9% per shot right there, which is massive compared to anything else. Almost missed it over here on the left-hand side. So sneaky, even I didn't see him. Oh my goodness, why didn't we go for the Aphis? Ah, we're so blindsided and hope, or what is it called? Tunnel vision. We're tunnel visioning all the time here. Not going after these Aphises, not going after this Aphis. So many prime targets to open up this left-hand side over here, and it feels like we've gone for basically none of them. Nuke will actually land in the middle of the map. Okay, well, that's not bad. Scratching up a lot of those units at the very least, but the Behemoth push is going to be something to win the game with. I can always appreciate that. Going for some kind of end condition. Oh, cheeky. We've got a bunch of commandos underwater over here. Very, very cheeky. Commandos under the water, very powerful. Of course, they can build their medium landmines, which do a huge amount of damage to anything that they come in contact with. Specifically, buildings is how we usually see them used. I tend to think of them like the commandos in Command & Conquer. You sort of deploy a satchel charge, right, to enemy structures or whatever and blow them up immediately. It's kind of what the commando feels like it does. It's, of course, got its little laser beam as well. It can build a whole bunch of turrets and things. Turret's actually going to come up really quickly. These do have a decent amount of build power, if I remember correctly. Build power, where are you? Looking for it, looking for it. I don't see it. Somewhere on this page is a whole bunch of build power, and it should tell you how quickly this bad boy can set things up really, really nicely. Build power, there it is, 200. So a little bit less, basically a construction tower's worth of build power. You know, not the end of the world, but certainly pretty good. Here we go. Gonna start building a bunch of transport planes over here. Cool to see. Are they working together? That feels really slow. Oh, I see. We were building... Oh, interesting. We built them all in one spot. That's why it was slow. Well, there we go. Commandos now headed into the back line. Oh, no. Oh no. So commanders have a special trait called paratrooper. It means that when they dive out of a plane, they don't die like most units do. They simply slide. And now that's quite a lot of commandos in your backline. Uh-oh. This could be bad. Don't believe commandos have any sort of anti-air capabilities, but they've found a whole bunch of E-converters over here. The first bit of damage we've seen in a good long while, significant damage anyway, that's not Thors or, you know, tanks like that in the backline going up in smoke. Commandos cleaned up quite nicely. E-converters pop for the orange commander. Not the end of the world. Definitely annoying. The behemoth, though, my goodness. That must be more than... Oh, that's way more than 9%. That's like 20% per shot. Ridiculous. Yeah, that was at 25%, went down to 1%, so 24% by my crude calculation is insane. Enough damage to actually ruin a Thor all the way to debris. Now that is something else. Thor's also pretty good against Thors, as it turns out. Oh no. Thought the gunships were about to fly right into the nuke right there. The behemoth actually decent anti-air as well. It can fire its gun upwards if it has no better targets. Gunship's left a little unoccupied though. Finally, we're gonna target down this Aphis over here for the brown commander. Meanwhile, big fighter pull on those gunships will shoot most of them out of the sky, although a good number of them do retreat. Big old laggy air battle right now as we watch all these. Let's just watch this glory in wonderful 5K. Watch the fighters engage each other. The Nuki Bees. Oh, well. Feels like a little bit of a waste of the nuclear bombers there. I suppose they were shot down before they had any good opportunities to kill anything over there, but at the very least, I guess I'm glad to see that we're using them. Titans waddling their way underwater over here as well. Yeah, Titan's pretty dangerous, actually. Their tachyon beam is quite powerful. Not Juggernaut. The Behemoth did actually make it into the base over here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Nuclear bomber is going to be a decent solution. Gunships firing away here as well. Not terrible, but not very fast either. Thor's also pushing forward. My goodness. I think the blue team might have done it. I think the blue team might have done it. The in-base calamity will fall to the overwhelming firepower of the capital ships over here. The behemoth in the maroon commander's base. The last commander does fall. The blue team, despite being pushed all the way back from their front line, manages to claw themselves back with some cheeky nuclear bomber play, some wonderful resurrections, and eventually pushing for the win, blowing up multiple bases, and setting themselves a victory that will not long be, or not soon be forgotten in the halls of Beyond All Reason. Thanks a ton for enduring this with me. I know it was a long one. Sure hope you brought a snack. A little late for that, I suppose. But I also hope you have a great rest of your day regardless. And I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.